my girlfriend said. "He's so boring, I only invited him because I felt sorry for him." I replied, "That explains a lot." I waited until her birthday party to make my move. I quietly gave the engagement ring I bought to her sister instead. When she saw it on her sister's finger, Caleb, 33 male, had been with Isla, 31, for 5 years. Our life in Kansas City, Missouri, was a performance she directed. We lived in a sleek apartment in the Crossroads Arts District, a space she had decorated to be featured on design blogs. I was an agricultural scientist specializing in advanced hydroponics, earning a quiet $125,000 a year. Isla was a high-profile event planner for the city's elite, with a salary of $90,000 that was dwarfed by her family's wealth. Our social life was a whirlwind of her clients, galas, and dinners at places like Corvino Supper Club, where I often felt like a silent accessory to her vibrant personality. Hey viewers, we are aiming for 1,000 subscribers. Your support brings us closer. Subscribe and be part of the journey. The opportunity that changed my life arrived on a Tuesday morning. A new, heavily funded agricultural technology institute in Denver, Colorado, offered me a position. They wanted me to lead their vertical farming research division. It was my dream job. The offer included a salary of $210,000, full funding for my lab, and a substantial research grant. It was a chance to do work that could help feed future generations. I told Isla that night, my voice filled with a passion I rarely showed. I described the innovative research, the chance to lead a team, the stunning mountain setting. She listened with a practiced patience, the kind one gives to a child describing a fantasy game. "Denver," she said, a small, dismissive laugh in her voice. "It's so rugged, and your work, it's just so earthy." "Caleb," she shook her head, "I'm building a brand here. Our brand. You can't expect me to trade that for a dirt farming project in the mountains." A few nights later, at a charity auction she was running, I overheard her talking to a friend. "He's so boring," she said, gesturing vaguely in my direction. "I only invited him because I felt sorry for him." I stepped out from behind the pillar where I had been standing. Her friend's eyes went wide. I looked directly at Isla. "That explains a lot," I replied, my voice perfectly level. Then I walked out of the event, leaving the engagement ring I had planned to give her feeling like a stone in my pocket. Update 1. I quietly accepted the Denver offer the next day. Isla's comment wasn't a revelation, it was a confirmation. I was a prop in her life, one she pitied. The pity was worse than any insult. She continued her campaign of quiet condescension, unaware that I had already made my decision. At a dinner with friends, she sighed, "Caleb has this strange idea about moving to Colorado to become a farmer. He's just not thinking about the sophisticated life we've built." Her friends nodded in sympathy. "You need a partner who matches your energy, Isla," one of them said. I didn't argue. I had already started the process of disentangling my life from hers. I opened a new set of personal bank accounts. I spent my lunch breaks doing virtual tours of homes in Denver's Washington Park neighborhood. I also started talking more with Isla's younger sister, Lena. She had called me the day after the auction, her voice filled with a genuine concern that I hadn't realized was missing from my life. She was a veterinarian, grounded and kind, the complete opposite of her sister. She was the only one who ever asked about my work with real interest. Update 2. I chose a Sunday afternoon to make my decision final. The apartment was quiet, filled with the sterile beauty Isla had curated. "Isla, I've accepted the position in Denver," I stated. "I'm moving in a month." She looked up from her phone, her expression a mixture of shock and outrage. "You did what?" After we discussed how ridiculous it was. "I did," I confirmed. "This is the right move for me." "For you?" she asked, her voice rising. "What about me? What about the life I have built for us?" "You built a life for you?" I replied evenly. "I was just a guest in it." She stood up, her face a mask of fury. "This is your choice. You can have your boring science project in the middle of nowhere, or you can have me. You can't have both." I thought of the ring in my drawer, of the 5 years I had spent trying to fit into her world. The choice was the easiest I had ever made. "I choose my career," I answered. Update 3. The weeks that followed were a cold war. Isla alternated between icy silence and tearful accusations of betrayal. She told her parents I was having a breakdown, that I was throwing away a perfect life out of spite. I remained detached, focusing on the methodical process of my departure. I sold my sedan, hired movers to pack only my personal belongings, and closed out our joint accounts. On the day of the move, she was not there. She had gone to a weekend spa retreat with her friends, a final act of dismissive indifference. I drove my new Rivian R1T truck west, the vast plains of Kansas stretching out before me like a blank page. I felt a profound sense of peace. My new home in Denver was a beautiful modern house with a view of the mountains that made my heart ache with its beauty. My new lab was a state-of-the-art facility, filled with the best equipment and the brightest minds. I was home. In the evenings, I would have long phone calls with Lena. Our friendship was deepening into something more, something real and quiet and strong. Update 4: 6 months in Denver transformed me. I was not the same quiet man who had stood in the shadow of Isla's spotlight. I was leading a team, my research was breaking new ground, and I had found a community of people who shared my passions. My work on developing new, nutrient-dense strains of hydroponic vegetables was a success. The Institute received a major new grant based on my team's preliminary findings, and I was given a $50,000 bonus. Lena came to visit me. The moment I saw her at the airport, I knew. Our connection was no longer just a friendship. It was the beginning of a new life. One afternoon, I received a text from an old friend in Kansas City. "Hey man, Isla is telling everyone you left because you couldn't handle her success, that you were too boring for her world." I read the text and smiled. The word had lost its power to hurt me. It was just a reminder of the life I had so narrowly escaped. Update 5: a leading scientific journal published a paper on my team's research. It was a major professional accomplishment. My institute issued a press release, and my name and new title, Director of Agricultural Research, were featured prominently. I updated my professional profile online. The news apparently made its way to Kansas City. Isla's emails began that night. "Director, you let me believe it was a junior researcher position," one accused. "You deliberately downplayed this to make me look bad," said another. Her parents called me, their voices filled with a new tone of respect. "Caleb, we saw the article," her father said. "We had no idea. Isla told us you were taking a step back in your career. We are so very proud of you." Lena and I were now officially a couple, building a life together in Denver. The truth was finally beginning to surface, washing away the foundations of Isla's carefully constructed narrative. Update 6: Isla's 32nd birthday was approaching. It was to be the biggest event of the year, a massive party at her parents' estate that she was, of course, planning herself. Lena called me, her voice hesitant. "Isla invited us," she said. "She told me she wants to show everyone there are no hard feelings. I think she wants to show you what you're missing." We decided to go. It was time to close this chapter together. We flew to Kansas City. We walked into the party hand in hand, a quiet, united front. Isla saw us, and a flicker of something dark and angry crossed her face, before she replaced it with a bright, false smile. Later that evening, I found a quiet moment with Lena in the garden, away from the noise of the party. I took out the ring I had bought for her sister, a ring that had sat in a drawer for months, a symbol of a life I no longer wanted. "Lena," I began, my voice steady. "This ring was for a different life, a life I was wrong about. But I know, with more certainty than I've ever known anything, that I want to build a new life. With you." I got down on one knee. She said yes, her eyes filled with tears of joy. We walked back into the party, her hand in mine. A few moments later, one of Illa's friends gasped, "Lena, is that an engagement ring?" The music seemed to stop. Every eye turned to us. Isla's gaze fell upon the ring on her sister's finger. It was the exact custom design she had picked out months ago. Her face crumpled, the mask of the perfect hostess shattering into a million pieces of raw, public humiliation. She turned and fled into the house. Update 7: the aftermath of the party was a firestorm. Isla, enraged and humiliated, launched a vicious online campaign. She created anonymous accounts and spread lies about me being emotionally manipulative, and about Lena being a backstabbing sister. It was a clumsy, desperate attack. Lena, with quiet dignity, posted a single photo of us on her own social media. "Sometimes life takes you on an unexpected journey to find your true home," she wrote. Our old friends, now seeing the truth of Isla's character, rallied around us. Her own cousins and family friends began to push back against her narrative. Her lies collapsed under the weight of her own well-documented history of self-absorption. Update 8. A year later, Lena and I were married. We had a small, beautiful ceremony in the mountains near our home in Denver. I had been promoted to vice president of the institute, and our life was full of love, respect, and a quiet, shared joy. One evening, a final email from Isla arrived. She had been forced to leave her job. Her reputation in the small world of Kansas City's elite was in tatters. She was working a corporate job she hated. "I built my entire world around an image," she wrote, "and I destroyed every real thing in it. I am sorry." I replied with a short, polite message. "I wish you peace, Isla." I blocked her email address. Final update. Several months later, Lena and I were in Kansas City for her parents' anniversary. It was a small family dinner, quiet and intimate. Isla was not there. Her father raised a glass. "To Caleb and Lena," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Caleb, when Isla first brought you home, I admit, I didn't get it. You were quiet, thoughtful. Isla called you boring." He shook his head. "I see now that what she called boring was character. It was strength. It was a depth she was too shallow to see." He looked at me, his eyes filled with a sincere regret. "I am so sorry we didn't see it sooner. And I am so proud to call you my son." I looked at Lena, my wife, my partner. I thought about the lesson I had learned. Some people are like fireworks, loud, bright, and dazzling for a moment, but ultimately leaving you in the dark. Others are like the North Star, quiet, constant, and a steady light to guide you home. Isla's accusation that I was boring was the greatest gift she ever gave me. It forced me to stop trying to be a firework in her sky and to finally appreciate the quiet, constant light that had been there all along. In that truth, I had found my life.